Oh boy, Roberto, beef jerky. No, wish. This is probably the biggest comeback I have ever personally done in War Thunder. This is probably the biggest comeback I've ever seen. Start with 18,000 tickets like normal. We were down by over 12,000. Now, obviously, this doesn't really look like anything special. Mostly some 6.3s. You know. Doesn't look like anything too abnormal yet. Just pretty standard early game stuff. It's worth knowing that I don't have all my vehicles in this lineup spaded, including the SU-100. Now, thankfully, that didn't matter. I was able to get a couple little things going with it. But I imagine this would have been easier with a spaded SU-100. So I'll tell you what. I'll start early. This is something I'm learning. Drop smoke at base speed because I see a teammate that's probably going to be pushing it. My smoke placement, see, like that wasn't really a good shot. I'm still learning the ballistics on this one. Again, because I've been playing something with the US-76 in a while. I was playing a lot of Sweden 5.0 and 5.7, and then 2.7. Yeah, Sweden 2.7. But just want to make sure this guy's adequate smoke cover. And I put a second smoke grenade in the center of that point there just because I knew the first one would be starting to dissipate by the time the 3045 got there. So, and it appears to be working, but unfortunately there's just a light tank rush like nothing I've ever seen on base speed before. That's when I knew this battle was going to be a little different. I mean, our 3045 gets about a little bit longer to live there because of the smoke, but the push was coming no matter what. So I'm thinking, alright, this is workable. We'll just do what we do here, scout what I can, get shots on what I can. You know, just being a meta 18. Thought about taking that shot, but even with an ace crew, the 76 is going to have trouble hitting it that far away, so I just scouted it and gone. You would not believe how strong the enemy team was on A and B. I mean, they played probably the best ground game they could have. I'm really confident in my ballistics at that range, so I'd forgo taking the shot. Now with an ace crew, I'd feel a lot better about this, but as you can probably see, this ain't there. Unfortunately, the assault with base speed didn't go exactly the way I wanted it to. But they haven't really done anything at A, so scout what I can on my way up. Really, this didn't seem like that bizarre of a battle here. I mean, nobody's really lost any tanks yet either. Try to track that M41. It's a really hard shot though. There's too many rocks in the way. I might have just caught it close enough. Hello. Let's scout that. Oh god, the elevation is so slow on this thing. It's just... Oh, that's not good. Okay. I was hoping he wouldn't be focusing on me. I didn't see the M18 on the capture point. Really, it doesn't seem like anything's gone particularly wrong so far. Mark the map where I think the enemies are. I mean, numbers-wise, I think we're doing okay. I'm just checking to see what our next one should be. We have most of our team going toward A. So, certainly, and really no one's really run out of tanks either, so... Let's take an SU-100. Oh, I'm sorry, PT-76. I got that out of... Let's take a PT-76. It's still early enough where I think the active scouting is useful, and there's obviously a lot of go-karts running around. Hull-breakable go-karts. So heat effect should be full effect here. Now, you see, there's a bit of a problem. Because we never really had control of B, and the guys near C aren't helping us at A or B, they're also not holding the enemy back. We have no points. I mean, yeah, the enemy team is very strong on A. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you win. So I expect that, but to have people running over to C and dying instead of helping at A, or even trying to get something to go on B, if you hug the hill along like this area here, the guys in A will have a harder time hitting you than if you're just driving straight across like here. So it's just little things like that. Now, obviously, we are fighting the U.S., so most of their tanks have good gun depression. But most of our tanks have good gun aggression too. I mean, I say not as China, but I'm paired with Germany and check this one time. Yeah, Germany, China, Japan, and Sweden. So, okay, yeah, here things start getting a little sketchy. Some early levers for both teams, but the enemy's positioning is really good. Our positioning is not good in the slightest. So, and it's been a while since this battle happened, but I know that the deficit in score, or rather the difference between how many tickets we have and the enemy tickets, is going to get a lot wider. Oh no, there's an Atos. That's really deadly at close range, and I have no idea where he is. I'm guessing he had side turn or side haul on him, because he got the ammo. So it's not to say that you can't kill things frontally with heat FS, but it doesn't usually get all the way to the ammo, as long as you're not carrying too much. But okay, here's another problem as well. Notice how they have bottlenecked us here. The Panther A doesn't know to use tow rope on that dead. That's a hope rate. So now we're extra stuck. So I'll tow rope it. That releases the parking brake on that transmission and the hope rate. And the Panther A and I are just going to carefully push this corpse up and out of the way. Because I know if that thing stays there, we're never going to get to anything. Now, thankfully, we got a quick decap on C. I'm not even sure how we got there. And a couple teammates are getting onto B. We'll see. The only problem with B is that if the enemy has A, they can just creep up the ridge or go down one of the side roads and just start killing everything that's on B. And there's just too many angles for you to defend. In other words, it's always easier to go from A to B than it is to go from B to A. Reminds you a lot of Abandoned Factory, just with steeper slopes. Let's get some Arty on that light tank. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Oh boy. Okay, good. Got the M50 that killed the T-War. And now you see the first mistake that I made here. What I needed to do was go straight across that bridge. But I didn't. I made a mistake. This hill is... This is your captain speaking. Because of some, we'll say, excessive alcohol consumption during the editing of this major production, I have made an error in editing. To the point where things and audio were desynced. There were sections of the match that were just not done correctly. I just wasn't paying attention. My sincere apologies. This is of such importance to me, however, that I'm going to redo the commentary for this. So, I mentioned a mistake I made earlier. I was too slow getting across the bridge. You don't want to go down into the hill area where I just was, because it's, even for a reasonably light vehicle like the PT-76 that can climb a little bit, it's too steep. And you lose a ton of time and a ton of speed doing it. Now, obviously, considering what I had to do, I had to avoid some enemy fire and stuff, and the bridge was a little crowded because there was a dead tank that we had to clear. Doesn't matter. I really need to be faster through that, and as you can see, this was actually not too long into my China 6.0, we'll say, obsession. It's an amazing lineup. I mean, obviously a little bit less so now because a lot of players that aren't, we'll say, built for proper battles are playing China now because of the M64, but I imagine by the end of 2022, most of the players that are going to be playing China are going to be at least pretty good, the way it should be. This was also early proof of concept for Germany-China 6.0, being a really good pairing. I mean, I wish the Type 62 would be moved down to 6.3. I understand why it won't. I can dream, damn it. So I got top-down attacked by a plane, surprise, surprise, but... Oh wow, this is really early into my SU-100 and China 6.0 love affair. Holy shit. Look at how many tickets were... I mean, it's not as bad as it was earlier. We've at least neutralized some things, but we're actually up by a couple of tanks. But the enemy isn't quite done yet. I mean, when I tell people this is the biggest comeback I have ever seen in War Thunder, and I do watch a fair amount of full-length battles. I've watched some epic comebacks. For ground forces, I don't think there has been a bigger one. In my opinion, this is the biggest. In terms of ticket deficit alone, we are almost at 13,000. It was like 12,700 or something insane like that. Like, by all metrics related to winning a battle, like, Germany, China, and friends should have lost. Like, we were down by so much. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of 28-3, when the Atlanta Falcons were up 25 points over the New England Patriots. Obviously, we haven't gone down that much yet, but as you can see, we will. Just you wait. And I know this is kind of boring, the driving parts in between the battle, but in order to convey the scale of just how fucked I thought we were, I'm going to keep this. Plus, I also like the SU-100. It's a great vehicle. It takes fucking forever to get Ace Crew on it, and as you can see, I don't even have this thing spaded. I think I might have parts. I definitely don't have FPE. I don't think I even have the 412 Delta rounds yet. Wow. This is crazy. It's going to get worse before it gets better, I promise. When you see the comeback, which, like I said, hasn't even begun yet because there's stuff over here. Oh, I don't have... I tried a suspension shot. That actually wasn't a bad idea. Oh, there they go. They got him. I'm going to make sure there's nothing else pushing that line, because I know if they start hitting spawn and they start having some of our teammates leave early or something, then we will lose the one advantage we have over them, which is more tanks on the ground and more high-quality tanks on the ground. Which is amazing, because I'd say for the first... certainly the first 8 to 9 minutes, I mean, they were kicking the shit out of us, especially their first... I mean, I mentioned... I don't know when I may have mentioned this earlier in this, but their push on A was incredible. Their push on B was a little risky, but it worked for the most part. I mean, they did, for all intents and purposes, as good of an early game strat as I've ever seen on Carpathians. The problem is, they didn't have enough manpower. Good bounce. Good. That's why I always hard angle my SU-100 when coming around a corner. You don't have a loader, though, and you're probably going to panic because you don't know how to fight Russian equipment, even though, I mean, you should. I'm careful. I don't want him to debarrel me. Ooh, boy. This is a little sketch. This is one of the moments where I'm like, I'm not sure if I can get out of this, but I mean, the time is a bit of a factor here, though, because we're not capping B anymore. And they have 2 points up. Oh, boy, this is going to suck. All right, I have to hard push this guy. I'm running out of time. Bang! There we go. What you're seeing is when the T-34-85 has bad reload and he doesn't know where to shoot on an SU-100. All I am is an SU-85M with a much better gun. But whatever, I'll take it. Okay, now let us convey the scale of how fucked we are. This is my other problem. This Tiger II early, he doesn't know how to traverse the hill. You cannot go up that way. You're just going to keep slippy tracking. The only way to get across that area in a reasonable time frame is to go across the bridge, which I did. He did not. He wasted, I'd say, at least a minute and a half fucking around with slippy tracks there. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, we are almost certainly fucked. I need to decap A, and I need to foot to the floor, don't stop for anything, don't care if you're getting shot at, decap, and then fully capture B. In terms of balance of power, we're up. Not by a lot, but our positioning is going to get better. I've got teammates moving up behind me on base A, so I felt comfortable with just decapping that and running. And now my foot is glued to the motherfucking accelerator. And of course I hit a trench. Oh my god. This is what I mean about not having things spaded. Oh my god. Oh, this is risky. I took one last lick. I'm like, I'm just going to have to go for it. Oh my god, what are you doing, man? You need to kill that thing now. Okay, there we go. Yep, let's just fuse on his gun breach and kill his entire crew and ammo rack him. Yep, that's the SU-100. Oh my fucking god. I didn't remember how close this was. Oh my god, I have to get to B right now. Oh! Oh my god. Look at how close that is! We're still up by like 3 tanks though, and our positioning, they're gonna capture A behind me. I know they will. They're all having trouble navigating that slippery slope of death. But nothing's gonna push them back though. I've got decent sight lines into their spawn. I've got decent sight lines to at least some of the paths leading up to B, and I'm sight lines on the path leading up to A. I misspoke there. And I'm full capturing B, and there's a plane that doesn't care. Okay. You're going to see what I mean about that stupid slippery slope hill of death. Notice how A is still not captured. Because they don't know how to go up the hill. And no one is saying, oh, hey, take a different way. The Tiger II eventually said, well, fuck this. I'm just going to work the line with hearse. Fine. I expect somebody to move up behind me and capture, though. I mean, if I had smoke shells and if I had some tanks down here to take up the slack, I would drive back up to A and capture it, but I didn't. And honestly, in retrospect, it's probably good that I didn't. You need to have presence on the lines, especially, and you need to control all routes in and out of base A and base B, which I do from here. I also am getting the sense that the enemy team is, in a word, very weak. I mean, they are running out of good vehicles to send. I mean, the last thing that I saw, there was an M42 Duster, which I shellacked. There's a T-34-85 crippled before him, and I was able to beat him. I mean, really what I'm thinking now is that the enemy's going to try a late-game AA gun rush just to decap some things and then just kill whatever light vehicles or easily penetrated side-armored vehicles they can find. The problem with doing that is you need time and space. And if you give us anything resembling open firing lines, which we have because positioning, then they're fucked. And now begins, well, the comeback's already begun. Once I captured B, the comeback began. But now just envision you're Atlanta. You were up by 28-3 over New England, and now they're starting to come back a little bit. They're marching down the field. They kicked the field goal. Yeah. The nightmare is just beginning. And you will see why now. Unfucking-quivocally, why I do not trust US 5-7, 6-0, and 6-3 players. And by extension, Russia 5-3 and 5-7. They were god-awful this battle. They allowed players like myself and my buddy Wolfgar and his Tiger 2, he and I were befriended after this, to come back and win. Absolutely amazing. Fast forward. So, more hilarity has happened. An enemy plane tried to do a top-down attack on a Young Panther and he crashed because a team shot him. And then, what do you know, Tiger 2 really finishes off the M19 that was so rudely interrupting my advance on the line here. That was actually incredible. We're coming back. Look at the deficit now. We can lose 8 more tanks. Oh, I think one of their players just left. Teammates are running out of ammo. Wow. And that's the thing now too. I mean, even if this case man, I'm assuming it's a Yak Panther, I'm assuming even if he dies, the enemy team has to drive all the way to base C, which, as you can see, they don't exactly have any go-karts anymore. They've all died. So, I mean, they're not going to be able to stop this ticket bleed for a while. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And now people are saying, don't die, like, the enemy team doesn't have any tanks. They all hopped in planes because they thought it was time to start lawn mowing instead of going in for the kill and occupying territory and working lines. Which is really bizarre because it's almost like the tale of two teams. I mean, probably for the first... let me see. Yeah. That's the Tiger 2. He knew what's going on here. But up until about 12, 13 minutes, the enemy team looked like they were going to absolutely crush here. And then I had some help, but we came back and won. That was absolutely incredible. That's the biggest comeback in War Thunder history.